Hey guys and girls, how are you today? I have to make sure that I'm in a very cheery mood after that last video about the media. You have to show the ability to rebound, to grow up, to mature. Certain things maybe some of us struggle with, even, later on in years. But anyway, yeah, I'm over it. I feel good. I wish them the best. I want them to have a great holiday season. Yes, it's September, but still, those holidays come flying up and the media is all out there and bastards. But I am going to bitch about one thing just to start off with, just a quickie. The NFL really got it wrong. I don't know about you guys, but they really got it wrong with this 3-week preseason, then giving an extra week before the season starts. I wonder if the thinking was, week 3 preseason, because there's only 3 preseasons. A lot of teams would play their starters, so, you'd get your fill. But week 3 of the preseason ended up being a disaster where nobody played. So now you're looking at 1, 2, it feels like it's like 4 months. And I don't know about you guys, but, it's Friday today. And we've got 9 more days before this, I'm in a fantasy football league. I got a draft Sunday night. How the hell did I get myself dragged back into this? It's been a couple years since I did a fantasy football league. And my buddy asked me, do you want to be in a fantasy football league? I said, yeah, what the hell? What the hell? That sounds like a great idea. He goes, all right, good. Hey, listen. And he was just leaving. He goes, oh, have a good one. By the time he closed the door, I what did I just do? I remembered why I got out of them. I'm the kind of fantasy football owner that I won't take any buddy in the Jet division. I don't have to root for anybody like that. Got to take players, teams I don't like. I don't like any other teams. I really, really don't. I know people are out there say, what's your favorite NFC team? What's your favorite? I don't like any teams. There's no teams that I like. There are teams that I really hate. And then there are teams that I just don't like. But there's no teams that I kind of like. I kind of root for, So what the hell am I doing that for? I have no idea. But anyway, I'm in a fantasy football league this year. So it should be exciting, keep me busy. And I got that going for me. And anyway, this whole extra week thing. And I thought maybe it was me. Maybe it's been like this all the time because, you start to get up there. You forget about certain things. So I did a real quick check. And of course, I was right. It was 1 week. The only difference is, well, it was a little more than that because because the season was the following weekend, they do preseason games on a Thursday night, right? So now they sort of like really dragged it out there. This past week 3, right? Saturday, Sunday. I think there was games on Sunday, wasn't there? So it's just unbelievable that it's 2 weeks before the season starts. And the only thing I've got in between that is a fantasy football draft. So I started thinking, I read an article and it started to, the article was about the Jets and how that's really important for them to at least try to get off to some kind of start, anything kind of start. And, when I started reading through the first few paragraphs, I remember at some point last year, I was talking to my son. I said, when did this happen? When did this happen? Because even when the Jets weren't good, I don't remember like week 4 and week 5 not meaning anything. I mean, that's kind of early for things not to mean anything, And I didn't, we were talking. I just couldn't put the pieces of the puzzle together. And the only thing that's stuck in my head is that the previous seasons, the last few seasons, it feels like it's like, not even October and the season's over, you know? And then I started reading some statistics that kind of blew me away. The last time the Jets won a September game was the first start for Sam Darnold against the Detroit Lions. Remember that puppy? I know some of you guys remember that game. I know some of you guys remember that game, and you're not going to admit it. You were there, weren't you? The Jets won that game 48-17, right? And apparently the Jet fans that were there still lined up behind the bench in the stadium, and were just going crazy and chanting, and franchise quarterback, and let's face it. I remember after that game, I remember talking to a few friends and saying, that's just I don't know what it feels like to be able to go to your board of needs and, you cross off, receiver, we're okay, check. Defensive line, we're okay, check. I don't remember the last time, you check off that box, that quarterback, you're okay for a while now. And I did. I was convinced. That was it. That was a wild game. First pass of preseason. No, it was the NFL game, right? First pass of the game. First drive, I think. I could be wrong. It could be the first preseason game. He throws a pick six, right? I think it was the Lions. 'Cause I remember where I was. I think it was that game. So anyway, that's the way he gets up, and then he plays a really good game after that. Jets win 48-17. So wild game. And then I start reading in the article, and he starts talking about the month of September, and doesn't go into any stats. I don't what kind of game Sam had that game, but the article was more about what's happened to the Jets since then. And since that game, the Jets have not won a game in September. And there you go. That's the reason that the season feels like it's over. It's October or week 5. When you go 0-4, or you're able to get in. Most of the time you got to get in 4. Yeah, you get 4 games in September. When you're 0-4, that'll do it, baby. And I can remember Jet seasons when the Jets were 1-4, maybe even 0-3, 0-4. I don't know. I just don't. Yeah, it didn't look good, but I wasn't completely out of it. I was still looking really forward to week 5, week 6. But the roster gate. The last year that had it written all over it. But there's so many reasons for optimism. And that's what we're going to be. We're going to be really optimistic in this video. This video is going to blow you away. By the time we're done with this video, you're going to feel so good about being a Jet fan, you're not going to know what to do with yourself. So I made some notes. Even in crappy years, I can't remember season. Yep. Last year, yep. September fun facts, and I told you. Our record for the month of September, since the Detroit Lion game, not record, outscored 236-111. 236-111. That's unbelievable. You can't do that. You can't even try to do that by accident. Unbelievable. And then I said, you know what? The article was a typical negative article, but it was legit. You can't argue with facts, and those are facts. And it played right into how I have felt as a Jet fan now for it feels like, I guess it's 3 seasons, 4 seasons, whatever. But I just can't remember the last time that, forget about Thanksgiving, not Thanksgiving. Because that's usually when it's kind of, you're getting that, doesn't look good at all here. But September, And then I started thinking about And I jotted down a few things here why I'm really optimistic. And I have to be really careful because this time of the year I can tend to get overly optimistic, you know? Like I believed Adam Gase last year when he said Chris Herndon is a unicorn. I believed him. I mean, I didn't believe, it was an actual unicorn, but I believed that he was that kind of special player. I believed when Adam Gase said him and Sam Darnold are so on the same page that when Adam starts a sentence, Sam finishes it. I listened to that. I'm like, my God, this offense. Whew. I believe stuff like that. So I can get a little gullible like that when it comes to my team. But I made a promise to myself that I was really going to be careful on how I approach this one, And I have so far. I'm not, when I hear Bryce Huff, I saw a video of him a couple days ago. I heard Bryce Huff talking about how the fact he's out to prove doubters wrong. I had heard him say that 2 weeks ago, and I heard him do another video. He's out to prove doubters wrong. And I remember, and you know what I did? I was sitting in my chair, and I turned, I looked at the screen, and if anybody was around me, they lock me up and would throw away the key because I started talking to the screen. And I just put my hand, I said, stop. I don't want, no, I don't want to hear it anymore. Just go play. Go play. I don't want to hear that crap anymore. Just go play. Go play. If it's week 8 and you have like 6 sacks, then I want to turn on the TV and you say that, then I'll be like, yeah, oh God, yeah, he's off to a good start. But don't tell me that, before a game's been played. But anyway, I was going to be much more realistic. But there's certain things that we can't overlook so far. All right. And the first thing is that it feels like we have real adults running the team. You know what I mean? I mean, you look back on, I'm including ownership in last year, ownership in the year before, because if you've seen my videos the last couple of weeks, I'm even saying that I'm okay. I'm praising ownership right now because ownership is bought into this. They're like off in the corner. You're not going to hear anything stupid out of them, or they're going to do anything stupid. They're sort of out of the loop, right? And, so I even include them. But so it really feels like when you listen to Douglas talk, when you listen to Gase, it feels like you have real adults running the show, like, driver's license, maybe they own a stock or two. So that's the kind of confidence I have in them, and that's a big difference. I did not feel that. Even with Gase saying all that stuff last year, when he was saying all that stuff, by the time week 3 happened last week, I wanted to strangle him. After listening to his nonsense for 2 months in the preseason and then watching that crap on the field, unbelievable. Johnson's, for me at least, the answer is no. The Johnsons, yeah, I mentioned, I already talked about that. Johnson's, even the Johnson ownership. I don't worry, I used to, having them as owners was embarrassing, they would say something, do something, back somebody up at the worst possible time. Coach is 0-12. Yeah, we have a lot of faith right now. I mean, you don't do that, but right now, they are out of the loop, and they're only going to be brought in the loop if something really bad happens and it goes to this one, and then Joe Douglas comes to them and says, we got a big problem on our hands here. And I highly doubt that's going to happen, Next, another question I asked myself. Again, to show that we have adults running it. By this time, when we didn't have real adults running it, it's always around now or maybe more towards the middle of the season when you say to yourself, how are we going to get out of these contracts, some of these contracts this guy has signed? Are there any free agent contracts that Douglas has signed that you're sitting there saying, God, whew. I mean, we were competing against ourselves. Nobody else even wanted the guy. How many times we used to say that, right? Is there anybody like that? Is there anything like that going on as far as free agents? No. Going into the draft next year, right? Compared to previous years, not last year when Joe was still here, previous years, when you're going into the draft next year, you're saying to yourself, do we have our draft picks? We have most of our draft picks, at least, where maybe we'll be able to pick up a star. Hopefully we have everybody, all of our draft picks. We haven't done anything stupid. And the answer is, yeah, we have all our draft picks. And plus we have an extra 1. We have an extra 2. We have, I think, several extra 4ths. We're in such good shape with the draft going forward that you wonder, when you look at this team and what Douglas has done so far, you say to yourself, how did you get there? With everything you've done lately, with all the picks you've made, you moved up to get Tucker, you brought in Elijah Moore and everything. How is there still more left over? And there is. There is. We have an extra 2 next year, 2, an extra 1 next year. So this year, when we look at this team and we say we have 2, after the season's over, let's say we have 2 major deficiencies on this team. Let's say they're secondary and let's say they're linebacker, right? Which could be a possibility what we're looking at, right? You have 4 picks to tackle those positions with. You don't have to go after a quarterback next year. You don't have to go after a receiver next year. You don't really have to go after a running back next year. Those 4 picks can really target a couple positions. That's when you're in good shape, So, again, adults running the game, right? Running the whole thing. That's next year. I don't know if I should. I wrote this one down. Yeah, I think this is serious. Does anybody here have any fear that come week 1, you'll be watching a 48-year-old running back running up the middle and gaining 2 yards, possibly breaking it for 3? While there's some really good, talented young running backs that aren't getting any playing time. Anybody fear that? Any 48-year-old running backs maybe going into their 35th season, maybe trying to gain an extra 500 yards to get some kind of record that, they're only going to get because they've played for 62 years? No? We're all good there? Okay. Does anybody fear that after week 1, the media is going to meet with our head coach, right? And they're going to ask the head coach, Coach Saleh, at any point today, did you call any of the defensive plays? And Coach Saleh is going to look right into the media's eyes, and then right to the camera, and he's going to say, "No, no, I didn't call any of the plays." When we know the camera showed our defensive coordinator going into the locker room and Saleh with the headpiece on calling plays. Is there any fear that might happen? Not that it's happened in the past. We don't have coaches. We've never had head coaches that lie about calling plays. But does anybody fear that? Good. So far, we're doing really good here. Let's see. I called him that name. No, I'm not going to use that name. No. I so want to use, I'm not doing it. So what's the surprise about the Jet roster? Okay. So all those things we just covered, right? We don't worry about. Some of them we joke about. Some of them are pretty serious. Some of them, for me as a Jet fan, to not have to worry about is a relief. So as a Jet fan, this is what I think I'm going to get this year. I think what I'm going to get is on Sunday at 1 o'clock, I'm going to sit down and watch a young football team play football. A young coach, some young mistakes be made. And when it's all said and done, after 17 games, we're going to see where we are, and the adults in the room are going to make it better. That sounds like such a simple plan, doesn't it? Any other football fan would be watching this right now and saying, is this guy crazy? Is he insane? Only a Jet fan would understand what we just talked about. So that is why I feel really good about where we are right now. Really good about where we are right now. Which takes me to the Jet roster, right? I've been hearing a lot of stuff about, oh my God, it's such a young roster. Oh my God, it's such a young roster. And this too ties into the draft next year, right? I mean, how many, at some point, we have to be realistic here. We got a lot of draft picks next year, and a lot of them, a decent amount of them are good, solid picks, right? At some point next year, when this is all said and done, and those picks are made, traded, whatever they are done with all those picks, you're not going to be able to bring in that many young kids. You look at this roster this year already and the turnover on how many young kids have been brought in. And you can't look at next year's draft picks and say to yourself, it's impossible. It's impossible. So something's probably going to be done with certain draft picks next year. That's my guess. And the good thing we know, because there's adults in the room, is that what's ever done with those draft picks isn't going to be to pick up a 31-year-old guy that is pretty good at getting to the quarterback, you know? The one thing we've learned about Joe is that if he decides to use those draft picks, a couple draft picks here and there, to go outside and get someone for something, they're going to be 25, 26 years old. You know, we already know who Joe's going to go for. But leading to the roster this year, that's going to take the field this year, that ties into the draft picks for 2022, is that, yeah, there's no doubt about it. This is a really young roster. But it's not a really young roster overall, you know, from A to Z. For instance, it's a young roster at quarterback. Of course it is. We're starting a rookie. We know that. There's no surprises there. Is it a young roster at running back? We got Michael Carter, you know, a couple of young kids, Tevin Coleman. It's a nice mix. That's how I consider it. I think most NFL teams go into their season with a veteran guy, maybe a rookie or second-year guy. So it's a nice mix. But I wouldn't call the running back roster young, you know, too young, you know. Offensive line, again, nice mix. Maybe a little bit younger with the left side the way it is. But when you go from center all the way over to the right side, a lot of you know, vets. So again, a nice mix. D-line, definitely not. D-line is that's a veteran group. Linebacker is like oil and vinegar. I mean, it depends, you know. Yes, at middle linebacker, we've got a veteran in there. But he is surrounded by a lot of youth. I mean, see, the thing about the linebackers that concerns me is when we say young, is they're not only young, they're transition guys. You know, they're safeties transitioning into linebackers, so they're double young. You know what I mean? So Mosley's got his hands full this year. But again, linebacker, I'd call it young. Even with Mosley, we're going to call that young. And then, of course, we go into the DBs, and that's where it just explodes young. And with the cutting of Bless Austin, which I know there's been several people that have a problem with that. I just don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with it. Not because I know anything, not because I'm a great football mind, that I saw certain things in Bless Austin that you didn't. I don't mean like that at all. I just got to trust them. Why would they get rid of a guy in his second year with all the other guys that are on the roster? It would make no sense. It makes no sense. They have to either see something in Bless Austin, or I think the real reason is they see something in these other guys. You know, whether it's Eccles, Pinnock, they see other. They like Guidry, they like Carter the second. There's certain things that they like. And if you remember, Adam Gase gave us a hint of this, and I had this in a Salar presser. I don't know if you guys remember this video. He answered a question, and I remember I said to I turned to I was on the camera, and I said, it was a weird answer he just gave. He talked about it does make it easier with the way the slot guys, Guidry and Michael Carter, have played because of the struggles that some of the younger secondary guys were having. He said, I remember his answer. He said, 100%, definitely. And then he said, don't forget, he goes, those guys, meaning Michael Carter and Guidry, are cornerbacks. They're cornerbacks. And I think he really likes those two guys. And for one of those guys, let's say, to transition or go back and forth, there might be one of those two guys where it's not set in stone that they're going to be slot guys. And I'm sure we've liked certain things we've liked about Eccles. So he's rolling the dice, he's going with it. And then again, so that's a position we're that's the position. That's the position that takes up maybe 40-50% of our youth. And at safety, absolutely not. Between Joyner and May, Austin's in his second year. I want to see something out of him. So yes, it's a very young team, but not at every position. It's only about 3 positions that the team is extremely young in. But there's a lot of positions it's not. The most important position, quarterback, we'll see. I really want to. I just want you to know for the record, I am restraining so badly to do a Zach Wilson video. I am holding back, and I don't think I'm going to make it till week 1. There are just certain things that I'm seeing. The way the rest of the league is talking about this guy. Did you see what Tony Romo? I mean, the way that these guys are talking about him is unbelievable. I just can't believe it. You got to pinch yourself, and stay with the thing that you never know. You never know. I mean, Sam Darnold, 48-17, Detroit Lions, right? You just never know. But there are certain things with Zach when he's out there, man. There's a video that breaks down his passes on YouTube. God, if I find it, I'll put it back up there. It was an ESPN guy. It was really, really good. I just so badly want to make this video and just get it out of my system. I mean, at some point, you just got to go on record, And this way, in week 5, week 6, next year, you can throw it back in my face. Or I can delete it. Yeah, I'll delete it. No, I would never do that. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe. I'm watching you. I swear I'm watching you. I'm going to get pissed off. Subscribe. And that's about it. And, oh gosh, I don't know when the next video is going to be. But it might be about Zach Wilson. We'll see how it goes. Have a great, great weekend, folks.